News from the United States, with tens of thousands of security personnel from the National Guard and law enforcement agencies descending upon the U.S. Capitol, Washington, D.C. has started resembling a ghost town. Security has been bolstered in other state capitals as well ahead of Wednesday's presidential inauguration ceremony. Following an FBI warning of armed protests, more than a dozen states have activated National Guard troops to help secure their capital buildings. Capitals in battleground states where Trump directed his accusations of voter fraud were especially on high alert. A small group of Donald Trump supporters gathered outside the Michigan state capitol. 4 of those protesters carried long rifles with them. In Columbus, armed protesters from the Boogaloo Boys, which is an anti-government group, gathered outside the Ohio state capitol, and the building is under high security ahead of U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. Several dozen people gathered at South Carolina State House, from some carrying American flags, and the group included Trump supporters who briefly interacted with another group of demonstrators. More demonstrations are now expected in the lead-up to the President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. Mike Pence, meanwhile, visited U.S. troops on final trip as Vice President. Residents of the U.S. Capitol find the security build-up eerie, and for them, the heavy military presence in the city is unsettling.
I hope everything just goes smoothly and calmly with no hiccups. I hope nobody comes from either side because of COVID and everything else. So I hope it's just an easy and simple transition.
It's quite eerie. It's quite eerie to see so many National Guard vehicles parked cutting all the streets. We just wanted to have a walk and see how things are like right now, and it's really eerie. It's not a feeling that I like, especially for a day like the 20th. And coming from abroad, it's unsettling.
It's definitely different downtown, seeing everyone with like large guns and tanks and things like that, and people have had trouble commuting into the city for sure because of all the blockages and things like that. So yeah, I think it's been more quiet so far the past 5 days.
And as U.S. enters into inauguration week, correspondent Susan Tehrani gets us more in this report from New York on the security concerns and readiness. Take a look.
As the United States wakes up to inauguration week, an air of anxiety hovers over Washington, D.C. and state capitals across the country as they brace themselves for the possibility of renewed violence after the storming of the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th. In an unprecedented inauguration security operation, thousands of U.S. National Guard troops have been sent to Washington, D.C. The Secret Service is leading these security operations, and by Wednesday, 25,000 U.S. National Guard troops are expected to be in the nation's capital, 5 times more than the number of troops in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. Meanwhile, after FBI warnings, airports and commercial airlines are heightening their security efforts. There will be an increased number of federal marshals on airlines and bomb-sniffing dogs at airports. Here in New York, while there has been no credible threat so far, security has been beefed up in the state's capital in Albany. And of course, New York City remains on high alert at least until Inauguration Day.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.